Hello, hello. Welcome to Rise Up CX Talks. This is the podcast where we uncover how to transform customer experience into sustainable revenue. I am your host, Camila Ferreira. I'm an award winning CX leader and international speaker, and I'm thrilled to guide you through insights and strategies that drive lasting success. And today, I have the pleasure to welcome Gillian Gorman, a seasoned CX leader. So, with no further ado, Gillian, please tell the audience who you are and what you do to drive better experiences.
Thank you, and good morning. I appreciate you having me. I've spent my career within the e-commerce space, and so I've been very fortunate to have seen a number of opportunities at a number of companies, in a number of industries, across a number of verticals. And I know we'll get into some of that, but I've just been so. Um, it was early on that I knew the consumer and their behaviors and the way that they thought and the way that they functioned and what made them tick just really drove me professionally in terms of the passion that I still carry with me through today. And so I oversee the consumer experience organization currently at Samsung Electronics America, which is really exciting. And so I have the merchandising, user experience functions, and SEO within my remit currently. And so when you think about the flywheel of digital and all that the brand kind of interfaces with the consumer, that's a result of my amazing teams here at Samsung. I was formerly
Wow,
with, yes, it's consumer electronics is such a fascinating space, and
we can feel it.
the quality of the products that we offer at Samsung are just you know world renowned and largely first to market, and so that makes for such an exciting consumer experience journey, right? Like we really set ourselves apart as a brand. We're the fifth biggest brand in the entire world, world's biggest technology company. So that comes with a lot of responsibility that I don't take lightly, right? And so a premium brand, yes, it takes a lot to drive that globally. And so prior though to Samsung, I have a number of years working for mass retailers. And so I started with my career at Walmart in the marketing space and spent a few years there. I then went to work for Total Wine, which is the nation's largest alcoholic retailer. And so we scaled the Instacart partnership and first to market consumer facing app where you can get same day wine to your door, which, as you can imagine, went over very well with consumers. But that was a unique experience because if you think about adult beverage and the legalities around adult beverage, so you and your zip code and me and mine, we could have very different offerings from a catalog perspective, right? So you could have all the amazing Chilean, Argentinian wines, and I couldn't have any because I'm in New Jersey and my zip code is a dry zip code, right? And so think about how the consumer experience can also really fall flat in that environment and where you have to navigate making people still want to purchase with you and still feel joyful at shopping with Total Wine. And so that was a really formative experience for me because just the challenge of really exciting. And I scaled their drive up fulfillment capability nationwide. And so oversaw the consumer experience, which again was interesting because given where you are in the country, your offering, your speed of delivery and pickup could be very different. And so the way that you interface with your CX strategy was really unique at that point in time. I then went on to lead a number of their P&Ls digitally. So I oversaw the beauty business for several years. I brought Ulta Beauty
Wow.
to Target, which was really exciting. 50 premium brands within a mass environment, also consumer experience led, very much omni focused. So I worked a lot on the and digital kind of connection points and We launched virtual try on in store through COVID, right? Because you couldn't sample beauty products during that time. So we had to think strategically about how to, again, bring joy and confidence to your purchase. Um, I then went on to the women's fashion business, which is probably one of my most favorite jobs I've ever had for obvious reasons, and oversaw also the strategic partnerships at Target. And so worked with Kendra Scott, Levi's, Diane von Furstenberg, just some really incredible brands. And so, yeah, that's kind of the overarching snapshot of my career thus far.
Wow,
Wow.
jaw dropping.
Thank
That's
you.
the
Thank
reality.
you.
Absolutely. So, wine retailer, Walmart, beauty,
Yes.
you have worked with so many different customers, right?
Yeah.
And that you have worked for different companies. And the main subject of this episode today is actually how Origin drives the culture of the organization and
Yeah.
then how it shapes customer experience. So,
Yeah.
you navigating so many different scenarios, kind of going from working for so many different companies. How has it
Mm.
impacted you, and what have you learned from these all of these transitions?
Great question. So, high level, it's made me incredibly resilient and adaptable, right? I have worked for many companies and they all are uniquely different. And so it's also allowed me to see the consumer in so many different lens within the context of that environment, that corporation, the leadership style and strategy. It's just, I love change. And so for me, going to various companies, again, I'm able to change with the consumer and see through their lens, which has been just a fabulous journey for me. So, yes, Walmart, global mass retailer, but US, American founded. Total Wine is founder led, DC based, much smaller. Target is Minnesota based. And so that culture is very Midwestern American. And then Samsung is global and based in Seoul, Korea. So you could imagine the cultural and origin nuances, absolutely, but I'll probably just use the Samsung Target example.
Okay.
Target, again, American, Midwestern, so they are slightly more risk adverse, right? And so there's a bit of
Mhm.
a hesitancy to do anything really bold or groundbreaking if it feels like maybe we were first to market or that
Mhm.
we didn't have all the right answers concretely kind of defined. And so the good thing is at Target there was a lot of emphasis on the consumer and, oh my gosh, what do they need, what do they want, what drives them. And my drive up experience there was a huge reflection of where Target said, okay, people love coming to Target and they can get their socks and their video game and their sweater, but they need the milk and the bread and the eggs because they're going on their weekly run, right? People came to Target very, very frequently and consistently. And so for us, unlocking that grocery element, the perishable goods, that was a direct sentiment from the consumer of if you can unlock this within the American market, you win the retail game, essentially. That was the sentiment from the
Amazing.
consumer. So that was cool for Target to really say, we're going to prioritize this and invest. And it's their bread and butter offering still to this day, right? But on the whole, Target, massive corporation, they are a bit slower because they're reviewing
Mhm.
and thinking about all the insights, which is hugely important. But
Mhm.
I think at times it can also stifle your ability to move quickly, right? Or to go to market
Absolutely.
in a first way. And so that is that origin, American owned and operated, and the culture was very resonant of that of Target. And then Samsung, what I love about Samsung is their innovation is the top priority here, which I find just
Wow.
thrilling from a product perspective, the products we make and manufacture, but then also to the experiences that we put forth to the consumer. We're always looking to try new things, go to market speed. Here at Samsung, I've never worked somewhere where it's more um, pertinent that things need to go to market quickly and you test and you iterate and you adapt to the learnings of the consumers that you serve. And so I have swung the pendulum pretty dramatically, but again, I love that. And I think the change only benefits myself as someone who's very curious, and I'm always looking to learn and just sponge up where the current industry and consumer is looking for companies to benefit their needs.
Oh, absolutely. And we can feel it from the beginning when you start kind of sharing your journey and whenever you are answering questions, we can feel the passion that you have for voice
Mm.
of the customer. And something that I got from either from Target but also from Samsung is listening to the customer,
Yeah.
right? So of course, Origin will shape the customer experience because, as you said, Middle East, so it's more conservative. You're not going to move that fast. On the other hand, Samsung has a very kind of a fast speeds to market. But at the end of the day, what I heard from you is that both companies, they are listening to the customer,
Mm.
right? And I asked you this question because in my case, people ask me, "Oh, but are you specialized in any kind of industry segment?"
Yeah.
And to me, customer experience is customer experience. We,
Yeah.
in the same way, I'm a customer at Samsung, in the same way that I'm a customer of Target,
Yes.
right? And what
Yeah.
needs to be done is understand my needs,
Mhm.
understand my expectations, and then adjust whenever possible to those things. So
Yes.
love it, love it.
Yes.
And I want to add something on top of it
Yes,
because we are
please.
in the era of AI. I am pretty sure that you are dealing with this on a daily basis. I have been part of different conversations about the impact of AI. And
Yeah.
in my case, I do remember a year ago attending some events of CX where we were still kind of tiptoeing AI.
Yeah.
But nowadays, whoever is not kind of thinking and strategizing about
Yeah.
AI on a daily basis is out of the game. So, what
Mhm.
is the impact of AI on what you were
Mm.
doing?
Mm. There's a massive impact. And I was fortunate enough last week to attend Shop Talk, which is a large, probably, if not the largest, the second largest e commerce and retail convention in the United States. And they're actually now globally involved. But I was able, and what I love about that conference is to soak in all of the new AI based technology and software offerings that these incredible companies are putting forth in the world. So just a side note that if you are interested in AI and like you said, Kemi, like if you're not, you're losing, right? So you got to go out there and you got to just open your eyes and be adaptable to learning what is the new direction and what are the offerings out there for you as a leader. Because I think if we're all not investing in upskilling our talent to know about AI and to be fluent in AI, but also to bring on technologies that drive AI, then we are not fully leaders in that way. And so I would encourage everyone just to get curious and to just listen and learn in ways that are even local, that you can go to different conferences. And so for me, it's twofold, right? So the first part is around, yes, driving AI based technology within our digital experience. So,
Mhm.
like I said, I'm really excited to work with new partners, test into what makes sense for Samsung, where can we innovate, where can we be first to market, but then also where a lot of us are is like, let's lay a really solid foundation to start of AI based capabilities. So, conversational search, right, being a key one where all of us are like, let's really get good there and then continue to layer atop, right? So that's kind of the first aspect. The second is around how we market our products and through a brand marketing lens. All of our products at Samsung are driven by AI themselves, which is very
Wow.
unique to us. And I think our key differentiator, no doubt about it, right? At the CES convention this year, we launched and announced our partnership with Instacart. So our refrigerators can realize the contents inside, therefore speaking to your phone, and those two things through AI can sync up. And if you are running out of groceries or the last whatever two ingredients of the recipe tonight that you had in mind, you can have through Instacart that replenished same day. And so, right, that's one example of so many. We also just this week launched our new all-in-one washer dryer, which is AI based and it can talk to your phone. And so gone are the days where you have to say, "Oh, I must wait to go put my load in the dryer," and it senses the soil level. Like you don't have to do anything. It's really incredible, right? So point is our products are so meaningful and they're driven by AI. It's a huge responsibility that we market and merchandise them accordingly and that we provide to our consumers through their experience. This is how this product will benefit you and drive ease in your life. And here's the value that it holds, right? Like that's really important, but you don't have a lot of time, as you know, to get people's attention and to really drive home that message. And so that's a massive and priority for me this year is to ensure we're being clear and concise and just cutting edge in how we're delivering on our product to the consumer.
I am shocked. I can tell you, as a busy parent, everything that you said resonated to me. Oh my goodness, my shopping
Yes.
cart, my
We're gonna have to
grocery,
we're gonna have to get you these products. I'm on it.
yes. Yes, no,
They're
absolutely.
incredible.
And it's so interesting, right? Because one of the conversations, or one of the conversations around AI is the
Mhm.
impact on jobs, particularly. So, for
Yeah.
example, when we talk about support, people are concerned and feel threatened by
Mhm.
AI. But I,
Yeah.
I always say it's actually the other way around. So AI came to make us way more successful, to help us
Yes.
navigate or go deeper than
Yeah.
our kind of a human capability, because we have so many things to do. And what you just shared is music to every parent in this country, right? Around the
Yes.
world. My goodness,
Yes.
and I can tell you the difference between Brazil and the US. I'm originally from Brazil, where we have a lot more. I have a stronger support system in Brazil compared to the US. In the US, it's just my husband and I, and we got to do the homework by ourselves, right? So all the
Yeah.
duties, and having AI, having those solutions handy
Yeah.
definitely helps. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. Oh my goodness, I can't
Yeah.
wait. I can't wait. But
No,
the
it's
other thing that
exciting.
you mentioned is you have to fight for consumers' attention,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
nowadays we are living in this world of social media. People look for very kind of a short communication. We need to grab their
Yeah.
attention in the first kind of a second. Um, and you have also worked for so many departments, right? So
Mhm.
before going live, you mentioned to me that you worked for sales, for digital, for marketing, which
Mhm.
I'm assuming helps you very much on understanding this journey.
Yeah.
So what do you do to grab the consumer's attention, and how having worked for those different departments help you?
It's a great question. So when you work across marketing, merchandising, product design, P&L management, I've worked and led loyalty and retail media, marketplace strategies within digital ecom. Again, going back to my earlier comment, it helps drive a more robust understanding of your consumer, right? But it
Mhm.
also, what I feel fortunate about is that I can now take on a company, an industry, a vertical within an organization. And not only am I knowledgeable about it, right, but I can then connect the dots from the other kind of spokes in the wheel, if you will, right, to drive efficiency in process internally as an organization, right? I can also really quickly discern what are the insights from the consumer that are needed to make decisions, right? Because
Mhm.
in marketing, they're KPI'd very differently than merchandising, as one example, right? So one is around driving awareness, largely kind of engagement externally. The other is around, okay, once you've landed to the site or the app, conversion, click through, AOV, all of that, right? And so they're KPI'd on two very, very different things as we understand. How do you drive that synergy across them and kind of speak that united language? And that is of the consumer, right? And so it has to be a balance of those metrics. And so for me, having worked across all of those functions, I know how to bring and sync up all of these teams within an organization to speak that unified language and to drive alignment and buy-in internally, right? That ultimately drives consumer, you know, brand joy and love and retention and acquisition and all of those things. So that's how it's benefited me at a high level, and I think that's the value that I bring to companies, given my background in working across those functions.
Amazing. Yes, I used to say that we internally, I kind of having a similar professional history because I have worked for finance at some sort of sales and also
Yeah,
marketing, and I ended in operations. So whenever
yeah,
I go to talk to finance, I know their language. So I speak their language.
yeah,
And I think that one of the most common mistakes people make is trying to speak their own language with someone else that speaks a different language,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
As you
yeah,
said. So I think the common language is the voice of the customer,
yeah,
but sometimes we need leaders like you to connect the dots
yeah,
and say, hey, I do know your pain, I do know the challenges that
yeah,
you in merchandising face,
yeah,
so I can help you, or I understand the challenges that you face in digital, in product, and let's kind of come along and
yes.
share and leverage this voice of the customer to be more successful. No, amazing, amazing. I love it. So you not only have worked for so many companies, but also for different departments, which makes you very unique. And I'm pretty sure that you bring a lot of value to the table. And in that journey, Gillian, what are kind of the most common mistakes you see people making?
Well, I would say, and my journey is unique. As I said earlier, I love change. I love to learn. I'm very ambitious in my career growth. And so I've been open to going between different departments and verticals. And maybe I didn't have all of the formal experience to do so, but I wanted to try it and I wanted to learn, right? Because my goal was to get a really holistic digital background. And so, first of all, it's again, it's unique to me in that I chose that journey. So it's not for everyone, but the advice I would give around the mistakes that I see people making is that they might not be as curious or as open to trying new things and to experiencing the consumer from, again, different angles. And I would
Mhm.
really encourage people to rethink that. I've seen a lot of people, I feel, make the mistake of staying in the same team or vertical or department for a long time. And they're like, okay, I'm an expert here. And while that's fabulous, and I'm not saying, I'm not discounting that by any means, I think it limits and stifles your ability to really serve the consumer
Oh,
at the
absolutely.
long term. And so I would say I think that's a big mistake that I see people making is that they're almost pigeonholing themselves into such a level of expertise because as we just talked, like AI is changing so many elements. So I'm not sure any of us can actually afford to just be one expert in one thing. I think we have to be an expert in many things, and that's what makes us, again, unique and leaders in this space. So I would encourage people to take on new opportunities and to be open-minded. That could be through at Target. We had a program called Talent on Tap. Essentially, it's an internal internship, and you didn't need to have, again, formal, in your case, Gummy, like financial, a degree in finance to do financial things or merchandising background. You could really flex your muscle and provide a unique perspective to that group, but also benefit yourself. And so that's one way to get internal professional experience. There are also incredible organizations and communities that allow for learning and development. I used to teach at a place called General Assembly, and they taught UX and digital marketing and all kinds of strategy kind of crash courses. And you go at night, and it's not a huge financial investment, but you can learn and pick up so much from that. So, anyway, I would really encourage people to try to broaden their skill set and to take on new opportunities. That's the biggest thing I've seen people probably mistake on. Yeah.
Amazing. Yes, you are so right. The other day, I was attending another podcast, and I said, there are many people who live in the US and do not necessarily speak English.
Yeah. Wow.
Can they live in the US? For sure, they have been living in the US, right? However, their scope is very much limited. And that's exactly what you said. So once you limit yourself to one area of expertise, your scope is going to be very much limited. Can you be successful in that area? For sure. We are not saying otherwise.
Yes.
However, do you want to kind of expand? Do you want to open more opportunities? Take the
Mhm.
courage, take the
Yeah.
leap, right?
Yeah.
And again, many companies offer opportunities where you can learn while you are
Yeah.
still in your position. So you keep
Exactly.
developing yourself, and not only the companies, because nowadays with internet, with us being truly global, there's so
Yeah.
much content online, right? So this podcast, I'm pretty sure that people
Yeah.
are learning a lot from you. So look at this. I don't know, my generation, I used to go to the bookstore reading books. So it was completely different how we used to get access to information and
Yeah.
knowledge, which
Yes.
nowadays I can see with my 5-year-old kid. My goodness, he's already fully connected. So
I know.
they
I
started
know.
kind of operating and working out of computers at kindergarten, right?
There's
When I was
there's
in
so many
kindergarten, I still
benefits.
had my,
Yeah.
yes, I
It's
was still
crazy.
playing with my dolls.
Well, I love something that you just said though, right? Because um and tacking on to my point around like seeking out new opportunities and challenges, don't be afraid to ask, right? And don't be afraid to share your intention and your intention to be curious and to educate yourself with your leader in your current role, right? Or with a peer or a mentor. Don't be afraid to ask and be vocal about what you want, because the mistake I made earlier in my career is that I was maybe more hesitant to ask for something where I thought maybe they'd say, "Oh, you don't have the experience," or "No, right?" But actually, not only are people extremely willing to help, right? But you'd be shocked at, they'd say, "Oh my gosh, we'd love your assistance, and here's the value you'd bring," right? So you, the worst that can happen is that they say no, and then you move on to someone else who says yes.
Absolutely. And you already have the no,
Yeah.
right? So what if you already have something, go for something else, go for the yes.
Yes.
And asking, I agree with you. Ask questions, go after what you want to know, or what you want to learn
Yeah.
to enrich yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's about us creating our own experiences.
Yeah.
You are already there, so something took you there, right? And
Yeah.
now, what else you're gonna acquire, you're gonna develop to take you to the next step,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Love
Amazing.
it.
So you won't believe me, but we are approaching the end. I
I
thought that
know.
this kind of time
We
would
knew that
fly
we knew this
by.
would happen. We could go on for hours. We'll have to do this again. Thank you
Hours.
again for having me. You're wonderful.
No, of course. But just for us to wrap things up, what are you more passionate about, client experience or consumer experience? So what drives you in this world of experience?
I am big on storytelling. So that is my, when people ask me like, what do you love and what, I love that kind of nexus between merchandising, brand marketing, and UX and copy. I love that intersection of those three verticals, because when those three can sync up and really formulate a messaging strategy, a creative strategy to tell unique stories about a brand, a product, a moment in time, that is where I've seen some of the best digital performance of my career. And something I spoke about at Shop Talk last week is, I call it performant storytelling, because there is a misunderstanding from leaders that maybe storytelling is a nice to have, right? Or that it doesn't drive
Mm,
acquisition or retention or conversion. And I feel otherwise. I think storytelling actually is what resonates both short and long term with consumers. And it's what helps, again, differentiate you from others, because the market is very saturated. And so for me, my heart is around merchandising, marketing, and UX and copy, and how those come together and spin up a unique value proposition. So that's what I love, and that's what gets me up every day.
amazing. And I couldn't agree more with you. I have been way more active on social media recently just because I now have my own company.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, I track the performance of what I post, how this
Mm.
content resonates to my audience. And storytelling is the one that resonates the best.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we connect with people, we connect with stories. So whenever I read those posts, say, "Whoa, my goodness, she has gone through this, and I
Yeah.
am going through this," right? So
Yes.
it drives connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that storytelling, and especially this one kind of performance driven, is amazing. And Jillian, I can't thank you enough for being here, for
Of course.
sharing your knowledge, your passion. As I said many times, I can feel it. It's so good to
Thank
have
you.
people and leaders like you that are so passionate for what you do and lead by example. As you said, kind of sharing
Mm.
your knowledge, inviting others to take the leap or to be courageous, to go after their dreams and learning more. So, first, congratulations for such a successful career. And thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to be here and share all of this with the
Oh
audience. It
my
was a
gosh.
pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Gummy. You were the wonderful, and we're all just glad to be in your orbit. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.